Here we go, boys. Doom Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. In this episode, Doom Guy continues his fight against the demons on the Mars moon Deimos, where he fights through hordes of enemies while going through the scientist bases set up there to stop the demonic invasion. You really have to take your time with the Shores of Hell. It has more winding paths and labyrinthian level design, and nearly every level in this episode has you collect key cards to backtrack, which is expected since you've already played episode 1. It's a way longer episode in terms of level length, but it has the same amount of levels as episode 1. The first level of the episode has you collect key cards and kill hordes of enemies to progress, which is a stark contrast to E1M1, which is just a straight path to the end. It's not difficult and is overall one of the more easy levels in the game. It's pretty straightforward with minimal backtracking, and it also has better music than E1M1. E2M2. This level has you collect all the types of key cards and is far more maze-like than any of the other levels in the game thus far, with its winding paths and immense amount of backtracking. However, it does this in a way to make it not feel frustrating. It has just enough openness to gain speed and just enough enemies and ammo pickups to make it more interesting. This is one of the better levels of the game that we've played so far. E2M3. This level has just as much complexity as E2M2, but with a killer song. It really does seem familiar, as most of these songs practically plagiarize other bands, like how Deep Into the Code is very similar to Behind the Crooked Cross by Slayer. E1M1 is practically just Master of Puppets by Metallica. I mean, tell me, that's not just a terrible MIDI version of the song. This level is a little bit too on the boorish side, it goes on for a bit too long, but overall I have minimal problems with it. E2M4. This level takes the labyrinthian design of E2M2 and amps it up big time. Every time I play this level I get lost. I don't know if that's the level's fault or if it's just because I barely play episode 2, but either way, this level is sick. It has a cool choir type soundtrack which just gets you into the mood. E2M5. This level feels like an attempt at a maze-like level, but in actuality is pretty easy. I never felt lost while playing it, like is what expected from Doom. That's not a bad thing though, as sometimes you just want a more relaxed instead of the brain-numbingly hard labyrinths previously and even in the future levels, but it just feels like it's an attempt. E2M6. Okay, this is the real labyrinth, having you find all 4 key cards to backtrack to nearly the beginning to open the exit door. This level is by far the biggest level in the episode, with music that honestly just sounds like a fever dream, and very dark corridors where you have to use the night vision goggles really add to the headache of completing it. Whenever I play this level, I just turn on some Death or Obituary because I know I'm in it for the long run, and it's gonna take me nearly 20 minutes to beat. E2M7. This is the final level of the episode, and while being shorter than the final level in the first episode, its boss fight, the Cyber Demon, is just a tad bit harder. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've beaten Mario bosses harder than this, but it still adds challenge. You still just have to circle strafe and use the rocket launcher though. And at the end, once you beat it, you find out that Deimos, the Mars moon that you've been fighting on, is actually been teleported over Hell, and now the Doomslayer has to fight in literal hell to stop the invasion. So overall, I give Doom Episode 2, The Electric Boogaloo, a 10 out of 10 would play again.